you're choosing between the DJI Action 6 and the Insta360 Ace Pro 2, it's not about which one is better. It's about which one fits how you shoot. On paper, they're almost identical. That's why the choice is so confusing. After using both, it became clear they don't really compete head-to-head, but they solve different problems. And once you see that, the decision gets much easier. So in this video, I'll break it down properly and show you side-by-side footage and audio, so you can actually see for yourself which action camera makes sense for you. So let's get started. I've tested both cameras over the past few weeks, and depending on the situation, I'll deliberately pick one over the other, not because one is better, but because one is simply more appropriate. And this is something I think gets lost in a lot of reviews. Most comparisons focus on specs or zooming into pixels, but in real life, what really matters is how the camera fits into what you're trying to do in that moment. By the way, this is not a sponsored video. Everything I say genuinely comes from my own experience. Let's start with the DJI Action 6. When I pick this camera, my brain switches into a different mode. This feels like a tool, something that's designed to fit into a broader production workflow, especially if you're already using DJI gear. The moment you start working with D-Log, 10-bit color, matching footage with DJI drones or pocket cameras, you immediately understand what DJI is optimizing for here. I think that this camera is not trying to impress you straight out of the box. It's giving you headroom and more control. It's the kind of camera that rewards intention. So if I'm working on a professional project, I naturally gravitate toward the Action 6. It plays well inside a DJI ecosystem. Color matching is easier, audio integration is great, and the footage matches with my DJI drones. And it's easier to edit and color grade when you have cameras from the same brand. There's also one feature that I love on the Action 6, which is unique to action cameras. It's the mechanically variable aperture. You can go from f2 to f4, and that might not sound crazy if you're used to bigger cameras, but on an action cam, it's a pretty big deal. At f2, you can let in more light and get a slightly shallower look. At f4, you get more depth and consistency, which makes sense for action and wide scenes. It's another example of DJI pushing this camera more toward control and flexibility. Quick shout out to TELESIN, who sent me these accessories for the DJI Action 6. I find them very useful for someone like me who's always on the go. I'll leave some links in the description if you want to check them out. Now, here's the thing. The Ace Pro 2 feels like the opposite philosophy. This camera wants you to use it right now, without thinking too much, without planning a workflow in your head before pressing record. For quick shots, reels, casual travel clips, family moments, this is the camera I instinctively grab more often. Not because it's technically superior, but because it removes barriers. I like the fact that you can quickly flip the screen and it becomes a selfie camera with a full-size screen, which is super handy. And the color profiles are clearly designed for people who don't want to spend time grading footage. You can shoot and post within minutes. The Ace Pro 2 prioritizes momentum over control. If you'd like a full tutorial on these cameras that you can come back to when you're getting started, just like the video, and tell me in the comments, I'll prepare a full tutorial if there's enough interest from you guys. Over the years, I've realized that the best camera isn't always the one with the best image quality. It's the one you feel comfortable using. And that really depends on who you are and what you need the camera for. With the Action 6, I'm more intentional from the start. I think about profiles, exposure, and how this clip is going to live next to footage from a drone or another DJI camera. That mindset makes sense when the end result matters, when the footage needs to hold up in a more controlled environment. But that same mindset can slow you down when you just want to capture something quickly. There are moments where I know I should grab a camera, but if it feels like too much setup, I hesitate. And hesitation is usually the enemy of good content. With the Ace Pro 2, that friction almost disappears. I don't feel like I need to prepare mentally before hitting record. I just flip the screen, frame myself, and go. That means I can shoot more clips and have more usable footage at the end of the day. And that's the real trade-off here. One camera gives you more control, the other gives you footage that's ready to post. Quick heads up before we compare the footage side by side. I've recently seen some really good discounts on Amazon for these cameras. If you're thinking of picking one up, you'll find some links below. Alright, let's take a look at the footage side by side. The first thing I'm noticing right away is how different the image feels. The DJI looks more neutral, more restrained, the colors feel calmer, the contrast is more conservative, and the image looks like it's intentionally leaving room for adjustment later. Now, looking at the Insta360 Ace Pro 2, the footage feels more finished straight out of the camera. There's more contrast, more pop, and the image feels closer to something you'd actually post without touching anything.
Alright, now I'm gonna do a little audio test so you can let me know how it sounds like. Now it's coming from the Insta360 Ace Pro 2, and now I'm gonna switch back to the DJI Action 6. So how does it sound? Which one is better? Back to the Ace Pro 2, 1, 2, 3, sound test, audio test, back to the Action 6. Let me know down in the comments what you think.
Alright, I'm gonna switch back to my mic now. So, with the Ace Pro 2, I'm not thinking about the camera as much. The flip screen makes framing feel effortless. I'm just talking, moving, reacting. With the Action 6, I'm more aware of what I'm doing. Exposure, profiles, stabilization, behavior, it feels more like operating a more professional tool, if you know what I mean. Now, which camera is better? This is the point where a lot of videos try to choose a winner, and that's exactly where they lose me. Because the real and honest answer is that I don't prefer one of these cameras all the time. For quick shots, reels, casual travel footage, anything where speed and low friction matter, but also in low light situations, I naturally lean toward the Insta360. But when I'm working on a professional project, especially one that already involves DJI cameras or drones, the Action 6 makes more sense. The footage integrates better. The color pipeline is cleaner. The camera behaves like part of a system. Subscribe if you want to stay updated. I'm posting tutorials and real-world setups for these cameras, especially as firmware updates and accessories drop. So this is the key distinction. The Ace Pro 2 is the camera I use when I want things to feel easy. The Action 6 is the camera I use when I want things to feel controlled. Neither approach is objectively better, they just serve different priorities. And honestly, this is probably the healthiest place the action camera market has been in a long time. Instead of everyone chasing the same specs, these cameras are finally developing personalities. So if you're trying to decide, don't ask which camera is better, ask yourself how you actually shoot, how much time you want to spend in post, and whether you're working inside an ecosystem or just want to capture moments without friction. Once you answer those questions honestly, the choice becomes pretty obvious. And if you're like me, you might eventually realize there's room for both. Right now, there are some solid deals on both cameras on Amazon. I'll leave the links in the description so you can check them out. If you're curious how the Ace Pro 2 stacks up against the GoPro Hero 13, watch this video here. That comparison surprised a lot of people.